We all joke about the hit by the bus theory, this idea that we need to plan for when the inevitable, bus comes along. And so many of us don't do that in both our professional lives and our personal lives. But particularly in our professional lives, it's more than just thinking about what happens to my business. You've got employees, those employees have families. When someone passes unexpectedly and you don't have a succession plan in place, a lot of stuff can happen, and today's guest is going to talk to us all about what happens when the proverbial bus comes along. Today's guest is Aaron Shapiro, Shapiro and Duncan, and their firm is a family-owned firm. They have over 400 employees, and a beloved uncle unfortunately passed away and left an amazing legacy that they have been able to fold into their emergency succession planning and then all the lessons that they learned since then. So today you are going to hear from the source what it's like when the bus hits and what do you do as a family, as a firm, to make sure that your company continues to grow and thrive in the future. Let's dive right in. This episode is sponsored by Genesis AEC, Steel Toe Communications, and this episode is also sponsored by Illuminate. So welcome to the Breakout Moment. So glad to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Share your story about your company and a little bit about succession planning, because I think that's something every owner, family, we, even personally, right? It's like you don't really want to do your will.
Right.
But you need to. And same thing with your company. So I'm really excited to dive into it with you today. So why don't you talk a little about the company and growing up in the company?
Yeah, sure. So Shapiro and Duncan, we're a family-owned mechanical contractor just in the DC area. So plumbing, heating, air conditioning for commercial buildings, hospitals, schools, data centers, government buildings.
Data centers.
Yep.
That's the new buzzword in there now, right? We didn't
Yep.
say that a year or so ago.
Yeah, so my grandfather started it 50 years ago. This year we're celebrating our 50th year, which we're very excited about. Grew up in it and now starting to become a leader in the company.
That's amazing. You know, I share a really similar story with you. My grandfather was an electrical contractor. And, you know, I got exposed to, and I think that's why, you know, I got into business, is because I grew up with him, you know, watching him. And of course, this is always, I have to kind of explain it for everybody. If you remember like Nick at Night, you know, like the panels with the lights, there wasn't a computer, there wasn't a keyboard. Like it was this old school.
Yep.
You know, and what, you know, UL listing meant and all that, and learning that as a kid and kind of watching that. And I think that's kind of what bit me. I don't know if you have like a similar memory or story.
Yeah, I mean, my dad and uncle, like growing up, they tried to find the most grimy, like hardest thing they could do to like get me to like stay on the straight and narrow. So they had me installing grease interceptors and like trash rooms and kitchens in schools, and it kind of backfired because I fell in love with it and just like enjoyed being with the people. The early mornings were tough, but like you got used to it. Right at the end of the summer when it's time to go back to school, you know, I got used to the waking up early, but just being with the people and like that camaraderie, like that's what got me hooked.
That was not the grease trap. The grease trap didn't
Yeah,
get
no,
you hooked.
that was the
just
side
to be
effect.
clear, because that's a special love for something like that. I feel like it has to be. So it was the people.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you were around people, obviously, that, you know, were they're older than you. So there's a lot of mentorship, I'm sure, that happened there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of the culture of our company is training and mentoring and, you know, pay it forward. There's not enough people to do the work, so we have to train them and get them up, skill them up to take our jobs so we can then move up and become leaders.
Absolutely. Thinking back to those formative years, was there, you know, maybe your grandfather, maybe not a family member, but was there a certain mentor or someone that really stood out to you in those years?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. I feel like each position I had, there was probably a certain person that like was the right thing. I mean, my uncle who passed away, he was like, you know, that one that kind of was consistent throughout the whole thing. but I would say each position had a very unique person. Like sometimes a bad boss is you like learn the best of like, I'm not going to do it that way. But other, the good bosses, you're like, how do I be more like that person?
That's amazing. Can you give me I can give you a great example. That happened to me. So very early in my career, I worked in publication, and I had a boss that was, not going to say her name, but she was an interesting character. She didn't have a first name. She had 3 last names. And all I could remember was just like, if I ever move up into a position like this, I am not going to be like you. Like, it just, between the way that, she spoke to people or the way that meetings were run, or there were so many things I learned from that experience. And I even think and kind of reflect to now is I always tell employees here at Illuminate that I want to make sure that some of the experiences that I had never happen here. And so if you're wondering why we have a policy about something, a certain way, easy would be, I worked in a company that was incredibly rigid. And I'm a caregiver, a lot of people are, and it's really hard to life when you have a really, really rigid PTO policy. And with that comes responsibility, but doctor's appointments and banks and stuff, they're not
open.
They're not open. And then, especially if you're a caregiver, you're taking care of an elderly or you're taking care of a small child, how do you work around that? So that's become part of, our culture here is flexible scheduling, things like that, just because, life happens. Those are things that you can do, right?
As a leader, set an example too of like not only saying it's okay to leave early, but you have to do it sometimes yourself because
I struggle with that.
Yeah, when you're like,
I struggle with
it's
that.
okay to leave early, everyone's kind of looking around, but like, is it actually okay? Like,
yeah, is it actually okay to take a day off?
Right.
Is it actually okay? Yeah. So we have Summer Fridays here, and we cut off midday on Fridays from Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and it's we used to be slower, but we're not now in the summer. But it was just, it's like, look, it's Friday afternoon. Nobody wants to be here, including me.
We do like a lot of tracking of like our hours and work get done.
Mm-hmm.
It's Friday afternoon, whether someone's here or not. The work is not getting done as productively. Like you're almost doing everyone a service by letting them go.
Yep.
Regenerate and come back Monday morning like
ready to
refreshed.
go. Yeah. I'd much rather have that. So you mentioned as far as your mentors go, you mentioned your uncle. So talk to me a little bit about him. He's kind of has a bit of a reputation and legend.
Yeah, Sheldon is definitely a legend, beloved by all of our employees, all of our clients, all the vendors. Like definitely someone that is as seen as like one of the greats of the construction industry. So to have that as an uncle has been tremendous for me and like my life. But as far as succession, like the saying of like what would happen if I got hit by a bus, like how do you prepare for that? He passed away completely unexpectedly, and it forced us into that like what if situation.
For real,
yeah. So I would say a huge testament to him and his leadership is he did such a good job of delegating and hiring the right people that we are still in business and we didn't miss a beat because of like the way he led. And like he maybe didn't prepare the people under him for that to happen, but he let them be able to like take the next step when that happened.
Right. And talk a little bit, a lot of us our families are part of the business, formally or informally. Always tell people if you have a spouse or a partner and one of them's a business owner, God help you if the other one's not. They better be really understanding. But those are our support networks. In your case, you have other family members that are part of the business as well, right? That were going through this with you.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah. So my dad was his brother and co-owner. We went through it together. Both my sisters are in it. another uncle, so definitely a family business.
Very family business.
Yeah, there's also a lot of employees that have been with the company longer than I've been alive. So
right.
I have a lot of uncles and aunts that are also in the family.
I love the chosen family aspect, even in personal life. Being a chosen aunt is very cool, right? Right.
I like to say we treat people better than family, because if you get in a room with all of us and we're very honest and direct with each other, like, we don't want to treat our employees sometimes that way.
Yeah, no.
We want to treat them better than family.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. So they were going through this process with you. Obviously, this wasn't pre-planned. Now, kind of sitting here looking, hindsight being 2020, right? You can look back and see what should have been done.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's given us opportunity to now, like, my uncle is currently COO and stepping away from a year to, like, let's do this the right way and start, we took 2 employees, just hire them as co-COOs. Mm-hmm. And now we have a year to, like, work underneath him and start handing off those responsibilities, which I'm very grateful for, to be able to have that time and, like, let's learn from what didn't go right the first time.
Right. What were some of the things that didn't go right the first time?
I don't know, wouldn't say like didn't go right, but just preparing the things. Yeah, like communicating it is like when Sheldon passed away, like there were some employees that weren't sure if the company was going to be around, of like, let's communicate and like kind of have that like reassurance to everyone, like the company's still alive and well and thriving. And then other things like bank accounts and things like the urgent, like necessary things that you just have to be done.
You don't even think about like signing paychecks and who's on the bank account. And
when you have time to plan it, it's like very easy to do. When you don't, everything's a panic and becomes very stressful.
When you were going through this, what was obviously people within the company, but who was the external experts, like the team that you needed to put together to kind of help guide you through this?
Yeah, I guess it was definitely like a team approach of it. Definitely like the estate side of like lawyers. We brought in a company for succession planning even. Mm-hmm. So like, hey, what are the tools we need for me and my sisters and other individuals, like what to grow those leadership skills.
Accountant.
Oh, accountant. Yeah. So I've learned a lot of like Insurance, absolutely. So there was a lot of things that never crossed my mind that
we take for granted, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think both sides of it really translates. From the personal to the professionals, who you are looking for for those things. So now that you guys have the gift of time, talk to me about what's happened since. So this kind of was a catalyst that kind of pushed you guys to deal with succession planning kind of by fire. But, let's talk about some of the results. What were some of the outcomes?
Yeah, so our current COO, Charlie, my uncle, now like put a date of like, this is when I'm planning on retiring. He's still going to be more of a mentor. And then he's actually chose 2 individuals that he's going to be selling his shares to.
Okay.
So that's like non-family members to be in, which like very exciting to, like for me to like brought a new energy to the company, new perspective.
So employee owned. You guys are moving to employee owned.
So I guess somewhat, yeah. I think it was select individuals that have deserved it and worked their way up in the company, and so it's been a very great experience. And like I said, new energy of like my dad and uncle maybe, not as motivated for change. They've kind of seen it. They're not inspired. You go to these 2 people with a good idea. They're like, let's get moving. Like, how can we, put a team together to make this happen?
That's amazing. So you guys do you have a formal mentorship program or training program?
So on the field side, we have 4 individuals. All they're doing is training, and that's from the field side all the way up to CEO of every position has a training plan. But especially on the field side, our apprenticeship program is like very, very important to us. We're investing a lot of time and energy and money into individuals to get them trained up and move up in their career.
Well, and I think you made a really important point too, in that, we talk about apprenticeships or training on job training, whether it's in the field or not in the field. For businesses like yours and mine, there seems to be kind of like a significant gap between what we're teaching and what we're actually, it is what we're actually doing in the field. And I think it's really, there needs to be an approach to that, whether it's within your company or within your community, to really kind of bridge that gap. We're not Amazon, right? We don't have like a whole huge team of people that's just dedicated to building out a university and pipeline for our companies. We're smaller companies. We don't have those sort of resources, but yet at the same time, we still need pipeline of, trained,
Absolutely,
people to come in.
I mean, everyone wants an experienced person. Like, good luck right now finding experience like HVAC tech or plumber or welder, but you can easily have one in 4 years from now if you're willing to invest in them and train them. So it's like having some vision of where you're going to be in 4 years from now, and hire the people today, invest in them. One thing Sheldon would always say is, why would I want to train all of these people just to them to leave somewhere else? And his caveat to that, what if you don't train them and they stay?
That's a great takeaway. I love that. That's a really great takeaway. I think for us, in particularly, whether in the trades and any of these places, it's especially with the advent of AI, you want to talk about getting curmudgeon-y and getting tired of change. I don't know about you, but every once in a while I'm just like, oh, come on, what's next?
Yeah.
This is getting a little old. I love it and I embrace it, but at the same time, it's just like, oh, this is a good bit. But the rate of change that we're experiencing, is having a direct effect on the hiring pipeline and the training pipeline of people coming into the company. And it's I don't have all the answers, for sure.
No.
but it's a tough nut to crack. It's a tough nut to crack. What other things came out of, obviously succession planning now is I'm sure not every role had a training plan before this.
It's relatively new.
That's new, right? Right. What other impacts on the business?
Yeah, I guess as far as the secession and train, one thing that is important is getting that person, letting go of responsibility of trusting the people below you and letting them take that responsibility and truly letting go, letting people do their job and getting out of their way, which I think is a really hard thing for managers and leaders to do.
And business owners.
Yeah. It's you want to see everything, for someone to learn, you have to let them fail. And that's a hard thing to do because if you would have done it, you probably wouldn't have failed or not to that level. So trust them, train them, and then just get out of their way.
How do you deal with the failure side of it? I think that's the thing that's the hardest for experienced operators, owners, because the failure means the companies fail. The company has to take a hit.
Right.
And you have to let it happen.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that's so hard.
I wish there was a better way, but I've tried to learn from other people's mistakes. It's just when you make a mistake, you never forget it. So It's just the best way to learn. We say in 50 years, we've made a lot of mistakes. So we're starting to get good at this.
Okay. 50 years. I always tell people, you're not hiring me because of anything other than all the mistakes I've ever made.
I like that.
So you're not making them. So you get the benefit of every mistake I have ever made. So, but no, I creating a culture around too, I think it's okay to fail is also tough.
Yeah, and then one thing we say is bad news early is good news.
Okay.
If you made a mistake, let us know, and we're not going to scold you for that. We're going to embrace that, and now you have a team to work together and fix your mistake. Where it starts to get out of hand is when you make a mistake and you hide it and you try to not, and then it snowballs into something that no one can fix.
And it's at the 11th and a half hour.
Right.
And if you'd been proactive, I always tell people time is options. If you tell me sooner, I have more options. If you wait to the very end, I am suddenly completely out of options and we're going to be in trouble.
Right.
Like, please tell me in the beginning.
Right. So that's something as a leader to, when you get bad news, like your blood is going to boil and your natural reaction is to get upset, but you have to thank that person. Like, thank you for telling me. Thank you for coming to me. Because if you were to hear it from a client or, you know, that's a lot worse than the person coming to you with a mistake.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with that. So, well, it was amazing to hear your story. I, don't wish, succession planning by fire on anyone. But I'm so glad that you guys were able to take that and, kind of take Sheldon's legacy and perpetuate it beyond the family into the company, moving forward. Yeah. And so thank you so much for being here today.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
This episode is sponsored by Genesis AEC. Genesis AEC, where science meets the built environment. As an ENR number 5 ranked firm, we provide a single point of accountability for life sciences and advanced manufacturing. We integrate architecture, engineering, and construction with specialized CQV, asset management, and sustainability to deliver high-performance facilities nationwide. This episode is also sponsored by Steel Toe Communications. Steel Toe Communications builds marketing from the field up, using real projects, real crews, and real results. They help construction owners attract the right people, tighten up their messaging, and build long-term trust with marketing that reflects how their company actually operates, not something pulled from a template. And this episode is also sponsored by Illuminate. Illuminate empowers businesses with AI-driven marketing, revenue operations, and CRM implementation and training to drive sales growth and strengthen customer engagement. If your business is navigating the messy middle and you're ready to grow with purpose, with a partner that understands B2B business marketing and operations, visit illuminate.com to connect.